Live.
Namaste, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. A warm welcome to all the viewers for the 11th day festivities of Swatantra Divas. I am Lavanya and I am a full-time coordinator at Disha Bharat. Disha Bharat is celebrating 74th Independence Day in a very unique way through MyBHARAT statewide online youth campaign from 1st of 15th of August 2020. As a part of this campaign, we have organized lecture series by eminent speakers. Out of the past is built the future, said Swami Vivekananda. Rightly so, over the past 10 days, through this lecture series, we have watched the history of Bharat unfold. And today, we have a distinguished speaker with us to give a talk on Idea of Bharat, Resurgent India, Journey since 1947 to 2020. To introduce our esteemed speaker for the day, I welcome Srimati Kshama Nargund, an advocate by profession and a trustee of Disha Bharat, who has been with us since inception. Over to you, Kshama ma'am.
Thank you, Lavanya. Namaskar to all of you. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tvamaham vande paramananda madhavam. On this day of Krishna Janmashtami, who else can we expect than Nandakumar ji to actually come and address us? So, a very warm welcome to you, Nandakumar ji, for having accepted our invitation and for being here to address us on the topic, as Lavanya has already mentioned, Idea of Bharat, Resurgent India. Shri Nandakumar ji is a noted author, an original thinker, a contemplative orator, and an honest analyst. He serves as Akhil Bharatiya Sanyojak for Prajna Pravaha, which is an umbrella organization of all the think tanks existing in our country. Nandakumar ji is born in 1965 in Pattanamthitta district of Kerala. He completed his automobile engineering and later became a pracharak in 1984. Since then, he has served various responsibilities in Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. He has been the editor of Kesari, a very popular Malayalam weekly. He has authored Savarkar, a biography, and Vivekananda, both of these books in Malayalam, and Hindutva for the Changing Times in English. Shri Nandakumar ji has accepted our invitation and is here to speak about the idea of Bharat, Resurgent India. It is very important that as youth of this nation, we have a better dream or a different dream to see India in a place that she has always deserved. Now, what all has been our dreams and how best can we, or rather, is our dream correct? Is it in the right path or not? Or, in fact, how should we actually realize our dreams to see our country in that place that she ought to have been long, long ago? To answer all these questions, may I request Shri Nandakumar ji to take over the session and grace the occasion. Over to you, Nandakumar ji.
Namaskar. Dhanyavad. Vande Gurupata Dwandam Avang Manasa Gocharam Rakta Shukla Prabha Misram Atarkyam Traipuram Mahat Om Tatsat. भारतीय प्रज्ञा इति विषयस्य चिन्तनार्थं समायोजिते अस्मिन् अन्तर्जाल सम्मेलने उपस्थितानां सर्वेषां महानुभावानां कार्यकर्तृ बान्धवानां सादरं सस्नेहं नमस्कारः। एकपक्षात्मकस्य एतस्य कार्यक्रमस्य आयोजनं दिशा भारत संस्थागणा करोति। आत्मनिर्भर भारतस्य चिन्तनसमये एतत् मेलनम् अत्यन्तं महत्त्वभूतं भवति। आयोजकानां दिशा भारत संघाटकानाम् अभिनन्दनानि। आत्मनिर्भर भारताय भारतीय प्रज्ञाया जागरणम् अनिवार्यम्। नवीन शिक्षा नीति एतत् कार्यं सुगमं करोति इति आशया वयम् अग्रे गच्छामः। चरैवेति धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। Thank you everybody. I would like to congratulate, as I have tried to put it in my Sanskrit salutation to you all. I would like to congratulate you all to conceive such a beautiful topic to discuss as a part of this 15-day long samvada. idea of India. I think it is supposed to be the translation of Bharat Bodh or Bharatiya Prajna. I don't want to go much deep into that, whether this Bharat Bodh or Bharatiya Prajna can be translated as idea of India in English or not. One thing is for sure, as we are all quite aware about the fact, as Rajiv Malhotra has correctly said, and he wrote a wonderful article in his book about the untranslatables. There are so many terms which cannot be translated into Indian languages from English, and also some particular typical special terms in Bharat like dharma, Sanskriti, cannot be translated into any of the foreign languages. In the same way, Bharat Bodh is not I think idea of India is not an apt translation for Bharat Bodh, but that is not the main issue here. According to the Bharatiya system, one acquires bodha after a series of ethical and intellectual discussions, that is samvada. This samvada parambara, that itself is a speciality, the uniqueness of Bharatiya philosophical system. There are a lot of dialectical processes, but the main thing which we have to take into consideration is there shall not be any purvagraha. Purvagraha means prejudice. And duragraha, that is stubbornness. My point is the only correct thing. Your point is always wrong. Before hearing the point raised by the other person, some are always saying that your point is wrong. That is duragraha. For a successful conduction of a samvada, these two agrahas are to be avoided. That is purvagraha and duragraha. That's why our great forefathers rishis say, Vade Vade Jayate Tattvabodha. Our aim is to get Tattvabodha, get enlightened. So for that purpose, Vada is to be conducted. That is a perpetual journey, a perpetual action. This perpetual journey is the very basis of Bharatiya philosophy, Bharatiya Darshana. Healthy discussion and creative dialogue have played a great role in the making of this great Rashtra. The distinctiveness of our knowledge tradition is marked by its unique nature of imparting wisdom. It was neither a one-way affair nor even a two-way lane. Our samvada, the mode and form of Bharatiya communication, have always been multifaceted. I am talking about this samvada parambara actually, and also our communication techniques. It has been clearly mentioned by our great Natyacharya Bharata Muni, and later on in the modern times by Abhinava Gupta and so many of our thinkers. But unfortunately, that part, that communication techniques and communication principles are nowhere in our syllabi, even in the communication colleges and institutions. Okay. The mode and form of Bharatiya communication have always been multifaceted. The whole society takes part in it. And not only that, we do consider even nature to be part of this samvada. Hence, our style of samvada is comprehensive, and to understand it properly, we have to see and feel it in its totality. During samvada, dharma is to be taken into account, because the ultimate aim of the exercise is attainment of knowledge, means a spiritual pursuit it is. To know the truth, seek clarity on concepts, and enrich knowledge. As Swami Vivekananda correctly put it, I quote, from a lower truth to higher truth. Ours is not like other philosophies, like Western philosophies or not, or Semitic concept, that falsehood to truth. We are thinking lower truth to higher truth. Samvada is for that. Bharat Bodh. Bharat is a bodh, is an idea, if you can translate it in that way. Bharat is an idea since time immemorial. It is much beyond the mundane aspects, a spiritual idea that seeks to realize knowledge, the ultimate truth. Bharat was the repository of all knowledge, even the so-called secular knowledge and also the spiritual knowledge. It all was developed uh, on the basis of the very idea which we are discussing today. Great Max Muller, in his famous speech, What India Can Teach Us, he said, I'm quoting, whatever sphere of human mind you may select for your special study, whether it be language or religion, mythology or philosophy, laws or customs, primitive art or primitive science, everywhere you have to go to India. Whether you like it or not, because some of the most valuable and most distinctive materials in the history of man are treasured up in India and in India only. Unquote. Bharat gave the world the powerful concept of dharma. These are all the main uniqueness, specialities of the idea of Bharat. That's why I'm trying to put it in perspective. Bharat gave the world the powerful concept of dharma. Dharma means that which holds us together. I would like to say about a wonderful analogy which has been explained by renowned thinker Rangahaji while explaining what dharma is. He is comparing this dharma principle as an urge to be together. For that, he gave this analogy. If a magnetic rod was cut into small pieces, the tendency, the urge of each piece is to come together and form a single one. That is, that magnetic force will give the capacity to each, the minute even piece to come together. That's the urge in that. So in that same way, this divided concepts or realities or pieces, you would like to say, each one will try to hold together, come together to become one. That is dharma. That magnetic force is dharma. In this strife-torn world, this universal concept can provide permanent peace and brotherhood among the people of the world. We Bharatiyas, another aspect, we Bharatiyas don't believe in revolution. For revolution means violent break from the past. It is a Western concept. We believe in evolution, not Kranti, but Utkranti. Evolution means cycles of rebirth from lower truth to the higher truth, just as we have already heard from Vivekananda. Our great nation has been striving to be reborn for more than 1,000 years. What is the significance of the 1,000 years? Those who are hearing me are very, very well aware about the history of last 1,000 years, which this idea of Bharat has been suppressed, purposefully suppressed by some alien forces. However, something was wanting in us, which impeded India's resurgence. According to Sri Aurobindo, those were Bhakti and Shakti. He identified these two aspects as the most important requirements for India's resurgence. We are thinking about resurgent India also. We can't say that India has been, rose up to the expectations of those great rishis. That's why Aurobindo says, I quote, Bhakti is the leaping flame. Shakti is the fuel. If the fuel is scanty, how long can the fire endure? India's soul must become as it was in the old times, like surges, wars, puissant, calm, or turbulent at will, an ocean of action or of force. Unquote. Sri Aurobindo further explains about the very concept of Rashtra. He says, I quote, for what is a nation? What is our mother country? It is not a piece of earth, nor a figure of speech, nor a fiction of the mind. It is a mighty Shakti, composed of the Shaktis of all the millions of units that make up the nation. Just as Bhavani, Mahisha Mardini, sprang into being from the Shakti of all the millions of gods, assembled in one mass of force and welded into unity. The Shakti we call India, Bhavani Bharati, is the living unity of the Shaktis of 130 crore people. Unquote. Drawing from these ideas, that Dinadayal Upadhyaya ji formulated the great darshana, the comprehensive darshana, Ekatma Manava Darshan, that has been translated into English as integral humanism. Actually, darshan cannot be translated as an ism. Darshan is not an ism, but what we can say, the limitation of a language having only some 500 or 600 years history. Anyway, if Bharat has to be brought back from the impact of centuries of slavery, deprivation, and oppression, and morass of self-deception, we have to revive our real Shakti. That is our idea of Bharat, our identity. That is the Bharat both in all aspects. We have to revive that. At the same time, we have to admit the fact that, that today's Bharat is not a clean slate. We can't just start writing on it as if it is a clean slate. No, there are a lot of writings on it. There are a lot of influences, impacts. A lot of other influences are there because of the continuous interactions and even invasions of alien thoughts, alien philosophies, imperial powers. They all came here. That impact is there. Okay, that which helps us, we can accept it. Ano bhadra kratavo yantu vishwataha. That is our concept. There are, I have already said, invasions of several types. It's imperial, religious, philosophical. They all have an impact of our society, on our society. But what happened because of the undesirable forces still exist, still persist. It has divided our nation philosophically or ideologically into two. That is what the great thinker, historian, and philosopher Dharmapalji said. I quote, today's Bharat is living in two universes. Dharmapalji is saying like that. One is a Gramina Bharat and another India, an urbanized academicians-led India. Two Bharat are there. That is what which Dharmapalji has said. Our great Satsangachalakji, late Satsangachalakji Sudarshanji has also put it in this way. Today, our nation has been divided into two, that is Bharat and India. Here, we have to go a bit deep into the great philosophy, our Bharatiya philosophy and Western philosophy. In Bharat, the aim of dharma or religion is not intellectual conformity to a particular set of dogmas. That is why there is no conflict between believers of that dogma and those who do not believe. Abrahamic religions believe whatever their prophets have decreed are the only religions. Believe whatever their prophets have decreed are the only things that are divine and others are profane. Their solely is divine and others are profane. Our concept of religion is dharma. That which holds us together, we already have discussed about that. The aim of religion is spiritual, not mere metaphysical conversion. It is a movement from avidya to vidya and bodha. When vidya is attained, there is no estrangement. This is Hindu universalism or Bharatiya universalism. Hindu is a synonym to Bharat, as we all know better than any of the people outside Bharat, or believing in an alien philosophy. We know better than that. In this philosophy, there is no place for looking at binaries. The hallmark of all ideas emanated in the West is this search for binaries and points of conflict. The ultimate aim of all these philosophies emanated from Abrahamic roots is to attain uniformity, not for unity. But the aim of dharmic thought is make the world one divine whole. That is why in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says, whenever there is a decline of righteousness, then I send forth myself. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati Bharata. So Bhagavan takes birth to reinstate dharma, not to set up a different creed. Take it from me, not to set up a different creed. And the purpose is to lead humanity to dharma. Bharat has got, our philosophy has, we have got a special darshana, that is Upanishadic darshana. On the basis of that darshana, our standpoint has been developed. On the basis of that standpoint, our viewpoint has been developed. It has been developed out of our experiences. And our rishis confirmed it, ascertained it through their experiments. In that way, our philosophy is a science itself. What all are needed for a scientific discovery? As far as discovery is concerned, it should go through some data and through some experiments, and through experiments, experience should come. In the same way, our philosophers, our rishis, go through those experiments and come to the conclusion, and that has been developed into our darshana. This particular aspect has been poetically put beautifully in Kathopanishad. This particular sloka, many of our thinkers are considering as the great turning point of our philosophical thought. In Kathopanishad, it is being told that Paranjikhani Vidranat Swayambhu Tasmat Parang Pashyadi Nantaratman Kaschit Dhira Pratyagatmanam Aikshad Avritta Chakshur Amrtatvam Ichan. What is the speciality of our darshana? We all know that all human beings, all beings are trying to attain knowledge from outside through netrendriya, that is eyes, by seeing, or srotrendriya, by hearing, ears, by smelling, by granendriya, and rasanendriya, by tongue, and sparshendriya, skin. These all five indriyas are open to the outside. We all try to go deep into the knowledge, how these lights are coming, how lights are being emanated. What is the force behind this sound? What is that adinada? We all tried, Westerners also tried, our philosophers also tried to find it from outside. But all failed. The truth is not outside. So our philosopher, our rishi, the dhira rishi, the courageous rishi, Kaschit dhira pratyagatmana maikshad, he started looking into him. He started introspecting inside, and he reversed the gaze into himself. He has reversed the gaze and found out that the real principle which gave light to the lights, even light to the Surya, the real Mahanada, the Adinada, the real eternal thing, these all are inside me only. And on the basis of that thought, the primordial force is in myself, my soul. And after knowing that principle, that specific divine unity inside, when he opened his eyes and looked outside, he came to the conclusion that that particular spirit is there. That particular soul is even in other human beings, not only human beings, in animates and inanimates, even hills, nadis, rivers, forest, everywhere that Chaitanya is there. So that particular darshana, on the basis of that standpoint, we have developed our worldview. We started looking the world from that standpoint. We have developed our social science on the basis of that standpoint or darshana. Our economics, our environmental view, our democracy, our ruling techniques, and on the basis of that particular darshana, our relationship with others took shape. Not only our concept regarding others, our relationship also developed on that basis. So on that philosophical premise, we have developed our relationship with others. Then comes mutual relationship with the multiple realities in the world. If at all some conflicts developed, yes, here also some conflicts developed, but we never thought that it is the rule. We thought that it is an exception. It is an unnatural thing and also impractical thing. So we have developed the Samanvaya concept, the Samanjasya concept, mutuality, interdependence. That's why Bhagavan Sri Krishna put it in this way. What is the way towards Shreyas, Aishwarya, total success? He said that Devan Bhavayatanena Te Deva Bhavayantuvaha Parasparam Bhavayantaha Shreya Paramavapsyatha. Parasparam Bhavayantaha. Through mutuality, through interdependence only, we can achieve the ultimate success. So this mutuality and interdependence taught us how to develop the basic unit of the universe, the life, the society. In our idea of Bharat, the basic unit of the society is not an individual, it is family. From that lower level unit of family, we have developed a concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And we have developed that relation with all others, not only human beings, I've already said, with the nature, with the trees. That's why we call that, on the basis of that relationship, we call Tulasi as Tulasi Mata. We call a cat not as a mere creature, an animal. We Billy Mousy hai. As far as Chandra, moon is concerned, it is not just another celestial body. We call it as Mama, Chanda Mama. This family relationship has been developed on the basis of this very idea of Bharat or Bharat both or Bharatiya Prajna. That's why we have developed a concept. Manav can be developed into Madhav. Nara can be developed into Narayana. Janata can be converted into Janardhan. So that is the real divine principle underlies in our thought system, our knowledge tradition. But their darshan or the Western concept, it is totally based upon dialectics, based on dvandva, based on collision. They always thought about two forces. Always there is some opposite two forces and perpetual collision. The mutual collision is the rule there. Always two forces, both antagonistic. They are thinking in that line. Always at war. Their mood and mode is a war mood and mode. That's why one of the Westerners, when met Swami Vivekananda, asked him, you have got a loose dress, Swamiji. Your dress is very loose. How could you run when an enemy is trying to attack you? Swamiji said that we people, we Bharatiyas never think that every person coming in front of me is trying to attack me. This is not our thought. Our thinking is he is related to me. He is me. That's why it is not necessary for me to run from any stranger. There is no stranger as such. But they have developed their principle, their philosophy, their science, their religion on the basis of this dialectical principle, the Dvandatmak Vichar. Charles Darwin make use of this particular standpoint to make his biological concept. John Locke made it as the basis of the political science. Adam Smith, when he formulated economical theories, he said, and he formulated it on the basis of this mutual collision theory. That's why he always said that it is necessary to exploit the market. In our economics, our Artha Shastra, there is no such a word called exploitation. But their binaries are there. Enemy is there. The people who are coming to sell something is a shatru, is an enemy to the purchaser or the customer. That is the principle. Karl Marx applied it in sociology. James Mill, who is considered to be even the father of Indian historical thought even, he developed the history on the basis of it, so on and so forth. We can see so many examples. In the same way, Semitic religions also developed. They are also thinking in this line. That's why in Genesis, regarding the creation and after the creation, the so-called Almighty of that Semitic religions have asked the first creations, Adam and Eve, to exploit the nature. Whole universe is for your consumption. So go and exploit. That was their direction. Fortunately for Bharat, despite the efforts of invaders, which we already mentioned or discussed, we have managed to hold on to our core cultural values. We can see its resplendence, once we are able to scratch the surface. The indubitable cultural unity and continuity reflects in each and every facet of our national life. Right from the mundane secular matters to the lofty spiritual aspects, the underlying oneness can be felt. The uniqueness of our eternal Bharatiya spirit can be experienced from our attitude towards environment to the concept of sublimation and final emancipation of human life. In the songs sung by farmers while sowing seeds and gathering yields in their fields, in the rhythms of the marching soldiers, and everywhere one can perceive the pulse of the nation clearly. Hence, Sister Nivedita, in her seminal work, The Web of Indian Life, states, I quote, "Eating and bathing with us chiefly selfish operations are here great sacramental acts, guarded at all points by social honor and the passion of purity. Even eating and bathing are divine acts." That's our concept, and Nivedita put it in that way. The need of the hour is to find the unifying factors. Our effort is to bring about the clarity of vision. For that, we need to delve deep. We can find those unifying factors in our literature, drama, music, festivals, celebrations, and everything else. It is not all that easy to find out the subtlest ingredients which bind us together, the cementing force that strengthens us. So my appeal to all the participants of Bharat Both, idea of India, is to bring out those factors which have sustained cultural unity of Bharat. Along with this, or to take forward our efforts successfully, we have to identify the imminent threats and looming challenges on us. That also have to be taken into consideration. Some of the points have been mentioned in the beginning. A consistent effort, which we can't just neglect, is going on to destroy this Bharat Bodh or Bharatiya Prajna. There is a wonderful sloka in which it has been very well described the importance of Prajna, that is Bodha. I don't want to quote all because of the limitation of time limit. Shastram nihanti purushasya shariramekam prajnakulam cha vibhavam cha yashaschahanti. The learned, our great philosopher Rishi is saying that if you are attacking a person or you being attacked by shastra or ayudha, your body alone will be destroyed. But your prajna, if the prajna is being destroyed, that is sarvanasha. Your kula, your vibhavas, your yasha, and everything will be lost. Buddhi nasha pranashyati, Gita also used to say. So the great thing is the prajna or bodha part of this great nation. As stated earlier, an attempt is going on through different means for this buddhi nasha or prajna nasha or bodha nasha or idea nasha. Education was one of the potent tools employed by colonial masters to subjugate us intellectually through distracting the prajna. English was imposed as the medium of education, which caused permanent social disparities among the people. But now we are seeing the resurgent Bharata is removing that colonial baggage from our shoulders. It is removing. We are reasserting ourselves. We are going to succeed. The main problem was this education, and it is being, after a long 73 years, first, the most comprehensive, most integral education policy has been placed on the table of Parliament, and it has been approved. And that on the basis of that policy, we hope, we all are expecting a Amula Chul Parivartan, right from the bottom to the top, Parivartan. Language is more than a means of communication. The dominance of English over other Indian languages and the importance accorded to it by pre- and post-independent rulers have resulted in the extinction of many native cultures and their profound literature and legacies. Distorted versions of Indian history, that also is to be taken into consideration. Many concerned persons concerned have called me after this NEP being approved. They were all asking, now the history will be rewritten. That they are asking. We are all expecting that. Sure, I'm quite sure that it will happen. But till now, we are learning that distorted history, written with an aim to widen social schisms and fault lines already existing in the society that are being taught in our schools and universities. We are not yet ready to teach at least our own history of science. We have got science, and that science itself has got a very great history, but that has not been taught yet. Aryan invasion theory continues to be the gospel truth for our syllabus makers, despite evidences debunking the colonial construct have come to light. So because of this influence, our history textbooks continue to celebrate some strange anachronisms. I would like to put it in that way. We continue to teach our students or compare before them that formative period. In that formative period, we are putting before them, our history teachers are putting before them that Kautilya is the Indian Machiavelli, and the Samudragupta is the Indian Napoleon. Strange. Kalidasa is the Indian Shakespeare, who are in fact no way peers in any standard, neither historically nor chronologically. They cannot be even compared. So I don't want to delve deep into that. You all know about all these things. The so-called eminent historians are not ready to accept Savarkar as a Veera Savarkar as a historian. Why they are saying so? They are saying that Savarkar is not a professional historian. But when we are thinking about Savarkar's contribution in the history writing, but for Savarkar, where would have been the 1857, the War of Independence? Where would have been Nana Sahib, Rao Sahib, Tandiya Tope, Jhansi Rani? From where Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose would select Jhansi Rani regiment name for his women regiment. It was the contribution of Veera Savarkar, but still the so-called eminent historians are not ready to accept Savarkar as a historian. They are saying, I have already said. But is it the fact? They are not ready to accept even R.C. Majumdar. Why? R.C. Majumdar, when he wrote History of the Freedom Movement, he had mentioned about the Islamic fundamentalism and how it ultimately resulted in the partition of Bharat. He said clearly that there is a vast, huge contribution of our revolutionaries like Madanlal Dhigra, Khudiram Bose. That type of n number of revolutionaries were also there. He was not ready to confine the history of our Indian independence struggle to a particular Kashmiri Pandit family. He was not ready. That's why he is also not considered to be a historian. So both Savarkar, because he is not a professional historian, R.C. Majumdar, because he said some truths in the history. Many others are also not being considered as historians. Can there be any other nonsensical teaching method than enlightening students of Indian philosophy through Plato and Socrates? Can you just believe? Indian philosophy is being taught through Plato and Socrates. What else can we assume Other than that, we are in a state of extermination out of the effect of colonized mental makeup, where a political science student is denied the lessons on Indian contribution to political science. What is the intention of our eminent educationists? What they are afraid of is our Indian system of Ganarajya unworthy to be learned about. You have to think about all these things while we are we are all proud enough to say that our idea of India is resulting in the resurgence of Bharat. Is it complete? No. We have to see the real greatness of this great nation. For that purpose, these imminent dangers are also to be taken into consideration. Another one is the divisive ideology and activities of the forces, votaries of the outdated class struggle theory. They are well versed in unearthing our differences and constructing fault lines in the society. It is not a difficult task to point out the outward differences among men. Color, body structure, dress, language, place of stay, and birth cannot be same. It cannot be same. But these Marxists, masquerading as intellectuals, are trying to derive sadistic pleasure by taking up these flimsy and trivial matters. They are trying to create chaos and confusion in the society through an ideology that is defective in theory and destructive in practice. Further, they have no love lost for Bharat. For them, Bharat is not a single nation, but a conglomeration of many different nationalities. And Stalin, from whom Indian communists drew inspiration during his lifetime and even later, wrote in 1925, the same year in which Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangha was formed. Stalin wrote, I quote, "Nowadays, India is spoken of as a single whole. Yet there can be hardly any doubt that in the case of a revolutionary upheaval, in India, many hitherto unknown nationalities, each with its own language and its own distinctive culture, we have to give attention to each and every word, distinctive culture, unknown nationalities will emerge on the scene. From where else this Tukade gang, who raised the slogan Bharat Tere Tukade Honge, got the principle, got the philosophy, got the idea to work against Bharat? These are the forces which are working against the great idea of Bharat. One of the major impediments in realizing this is the continuing effect of colonization of intellectual system. The great educationist D.S. Kothari had said in his National Education Commission report that the center of gravity of our education has been shifted towards Europe. The main task of our educationists is to bring it back into our nation and make it Bharat-centric. Efforts have begun. We are seeing it. Our thinking pattern is changing. So the hope and the expectation of Kothari and so many nationalist educations are coming into truth. We hope that the new education policy will help us in undoing the impacts of colonization to a great extent. The impacts of colonization are very much evident and alive in our present society. It is manifested in the form of anti-national slogans raised on the campuses of some universities or a pro-secessionist voice raised in parliament or on the streets. I am surprised to hear and shocked to hear a communist leader and ideologue from Kerala, while participating in a discussion, in a debate conducted, organized by a left-oriented intellectual organization, has commented that Kerala should try to secede from Bharat. It wasn't openly. So many cases were registered against him. But they are showing the courage. They are showing the courage to make such comments. Sadly, it has affected all areas of our national life. It didn't spare even agriculture, which is a way of life for more than 70 crore people in our villages. while it is acceptable to adopt a new technology to enhance production, neglecting our time-tested techniques spells doom for the sector in the long run. Throwing away the vast varieties of our seeds and accepting the terminator seeds for cultivation in paddy, say it is in cotton, in plantain, etc. So when we are thinking about the idea of Bharat, it is to be implemented in the agriculture field also. Efforts are started in that also. When we are saying about the giving vocal to the local for agriculture also, there will be much importance and our indigenous methods will be implemented again. So all the evil effects of colonization can be summarized into 6 I's. I don't want to elaborate much. Inferiority complex, ignorance, ill will towards anything Bharat, irreverence towards anything Bharat, incompetency, our own incompetency, and inertia. These 6 I's are the ill effects of the evil effects of colonization. It is to be removed. Another day, this propaganda in the academic circles is being consistently done by, already I have said, the leftist intellectuals. In a way, they are taking forward the colonization agenda of the West. But as far as the areas to be discussed, we have to discuss some certain areas where how the idea of Bharat is very much evident and very much it is implemented already. As far as environmental thoughts are concerned, already I have said the Semitic concept is against the nature, actually against the nature. And also they were thinking that it is to be exploited, the nature is to be exploited. But how we are thinking about it? We are thinking that that nature itself it consists of the divinity. So it is to be worshipped. In that way, nature is to be approached. So as far as the great issue which always we are all thinking about is the assimilation or the integration point of view. How we can integrate the Muslims and all. The very principle, very philosophy of Bharatiya philosophy is to be taken into consideration for that also. Guruji said, once he was answering to Saifuddin Jalani, while he was talking to him, he said that it is difficult to immediately suggest something specific, how to integrate Muslims. But it must be given a serious thought. A real religious education on a wider scale can be one such step. Not the dharmaless education that is being imparted by nowadays by our politicians, but through good religious education which lets people understand the true wisdom of Islam and Hindu Dharma. People should be taught that every religion guides an individual to be true, pure, and welfare-oriented. Then second step is to teach history as it was. Today we are taught a distorted version of history. If there was aggression from the Muslim invaders in the past, say so, and also clarify that the aggressors were foreigners and they belong to the past. Muslims today should be told that they belong to this country and that this aggression is not their heritage. It is to be taught to them. Thus said Pujaniya Guruji. Instead of being taught what is true, the Muslim now are today being taught a distorted and false version. Truth cannot be hidden for long. However long you hide it, ultimately it comes out and creates only far worse feelings. Therefore, I say that history should be taught as it is. If Afzal Khan was killed by Shivaji, say that a foreign aggressor was killed by a national hero because of their tense relations. We should tell them that we all belong to this nation. Therefore, our heritage is not of Afzal Khan, but no one has the courage to say so. I have already condemned this mutilation of history many times and condemn it today too. Unquote. I would like to quote a true Hindu Muslim or a Bharatiya Muslim, Ashfaqullah Khan, colleague and right-hand man of legendary Ram Prasad Bismil, just before them being executed by British. मुसलमान हूं, पुनर्जन्म की बात नहीं कर पाता हूं, हाँ खुदा अगर कहीं मिल गया तो झोली फैला दूंगा, जन्नत के बदले दूसरे जन्म ही मांगूंगा, फिर आऊंगा, ये भारत माता तुझे आजाद कराऊंगा. He's saying that Punarjanma, as far as Islamic religion is concerned, Punarjanma is not acceptable. But I, as a Bharatiya Islam, I do consider to come back again through a Punarjanma. For what? To make my nation Mother India, the Mother India concept, and also Punarjanma concept, all can be accepted by a true Indian Muslim. That's what which Ashfaqullah Khan has shown. All countries at some point or the other have to deal with the issue of integration. The best way to deal with it is the Hindutva way. That can be put in another way, Indian philosophical way, the idea of Indian way. It seeks to emphasize on the commonalities that exist among Indian people belonging to different faiths rather than hyping or harping on the differences. Uniformity is not what we aim at, but assimilation. This is consistent with the abiding spirit of Bharat. As Swami Vivekananda says, quote, we believe not only in universal toleration, but we accept all religions as true. This is Hindu universalism. I would like to conclude my speech. There are a lot of points to be covered, but still the time is very much limited. I have already exceeded the time. Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, in his seminal work, Swadeshi Samaj, he said, I have already said that there is a Hindutva way for assimilation, for make India great. Rabindranath Tagore said in his Swadeshi Samaj, to feel unity in diversity, to establish unity amidst variety, that is the underlying dharma of Bharat. Bharat does not regard difference as hostility. She does not regard the other as enemy. That's why, without sacrifice of destruction, she wants to accommodate everybody within one great system. That is why she accepts all ways and sees the greatness of each in its own sphere. Because of this virtue in Bharat, we shall not get frightened considering any society as our enemy. Each fresh conflict will enable us to expand ourselves. The Hindu, the Buddhist, the Muslim, and the Christian will not fight each other and die in Bharat. Here they will find a meeting point. That meeting point will not be non-Hindu, but very specifically Hindu. Very specifically Hindu, unquote. So this particular aspect is to be taken into consideration. It cannot be disputed that during this period of 1947 to 2020, India has achieved considerable progress in almost all fields, despite many policy missteps and lack of direction on the part of our rulers. There are a lot of area to be covered. We have achieved a lot. Now we are at the verge of leading the whole universe, whole world. Bharat is becoming the leader of the whole world. That is slowly emerging. We all hope, we can hope to make it, we can fulfill it through our efforts by knowing what is the real idea which made our great nation. What is that both our prajna of this great nation? That alone can pave way for a resurgent Bharat or Vishwa Guru Parama Vaibhava Sthita Bharat. Thank you. Namaskar. Jai Bharat.
Yes. Namaste, sir. We did not realize how the past 50 minutes passed by. We were all so enraptured by your divine upanyasam, I could say. Our listeners have asked a few questions. Do I have your permission to please pose those questions to you?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
I'll try my level best to answer it as far as I know. Okay.
Oh, okay, sir. So the first question comes from one of our viewers. They say, Bharat is a great civilization and a nation with unique characters. Understanding of dharma, utkranti, several concepts of life like darshana, etc. evolved here. However, our academic texts do not highlight about these teachings. How do we bring these aspects to academia, in academia?
See, in the beginning, I have explained all these concepts: dharma, utkranti, not kranti, but utkranti, philosophy, darshan, everything. But later on, I specifically mentioned through education. See, our NEP has been tabled and it has been approved. And that particular NEP will pave way for restructuring our syllabi. The whole syllabus will be restructured. There is no doubt about that. Study material will be changed. Now, the educationists who are in charge, who are at the helm of the affairs, are not influenced by the colonial mindset. They are not influenced by them. They are not the votaries of Aryan concept. They are not saying that our history is a failure. They are of the thought that our great history is a real story of success. Story of success. That's what which has been mentioned by Veera Savarkar in his famous work, Six Glorious Epochs of Indian History. So, for sure, I'm quite sure. Otherwise, we can't go ahead. We can't develop ourselves as Bharat. Of course, we can become a more good or more flourished India. We can't become Bharat. Through, you say, subways, sorry to say, bullet trains, we can become India. But for becoming Bharat, this darshana part is necessary, and our great persons who are leading Bharat now, they are quite capable to bring in that change. Who thought about a Bhumi Pujan at Ayodhya some 5 or 6 years back even? Who thought about abrogation of Article 370 for 5 or 6 years back? And also Muttalak and Triple Talak and everything. It has been changed. And also a new national education policy which is saying that up to 5th standard, the student, wherever he may, whoever it may, even the sons of the great capitalist or businessmen should learn their lessons in their mother tongue. How many of us were thinking about that? So this change will also come. We all will, we are going to see Yachi Dola, Yachi Deha. With this eyes and with this body, we are going to experience that great success.
Yes, we too look forward for this new education policy. We all are waiting eagerly. We have another question, sir. Bharat is a land of openness in intellectual debates and samvada. There is a growing trend in both so-called left and also by the right intellectuals to react to each other without listening to the opposite views. Discussions lead to arguments. Also, protesting freedom of expressions also is happening. How do you view these developments in context of ancient tradition of openness to opposite views?
See, I have in the beginning itself, I try to explain the Samvada and I try to congratulate you all to conduct this wonderful program in that Samvada style. See, 2 points are very much necessary. That is one, those who are participating in any debate word itself is not sufficient to, explain the true principle, true spirit of Samvada. Again, that constraints are there, that limitations are there. See, Purvagraha is to be avoided. Purvagraha means prejudices. See, these leftist fellows and also this so-called colonial, both are same, both are of two sides of the same coin. There is no much difference in between them. So, they are always thinking that their own line is correct. So, they have got some prejudices. When they are discussing with any of the nationalist thinkers, they are of the opinion that these guys are having no intellect, no intelligence. So no worth to discuss. You can feel it from their body language, their arrogant style in the TV debates even. So that is not actual Samvada. That is not Samvada. That is Vitandavada. That is not Samvada, it is Vitandavada. So everything is to be changed. Everything. That's why I tried to mention some of the points which Bharata Muni has put before us. What is the communication principle? And also Abhinava Gupta 1000 years back. 1000 years back is a modern era of Bharat, for Bharat, as far as Bharat is concerned. When he gave an interpretation to Bharata Muni's Natya Shastra in Abhinava Bharati, he mentioned about this communication theory and Samvada style. What should be our Bharatiya perspective? My point is that this is to be taught to the journalism students. At least this part is to be taught, these principles. The unfortunate part, I would like to say that our journalism students or mass communication students are learning the communication principle through Western theories. They are not taught how Yama and Nachiketa communicated in between, how Sanjaya and Dhritarashtra communicated, how Krishna and Arjuna communicated, how Abhinava Gupta communicated to the whole Bharat. Do you know? Abhinava Gupta, living in Jammu Kashmir, has influenced the people in Kerala at that point of time. Yeah, if one important thing, many of you, I don't know how many of you have go deep into Abhinava Gupta's principle. Immediately after Abhinava Gupta, that means 1050, in the beginning of the 11th century, Islamic invasion took place in Jammu Kashmir, and most of the centers constructed, founded by Abhinava Gupta and his Shishyas were destroyed. Almost every text were burned. But do you know, after several centuries, the Moola Granthas were found from my Kerala. Moola Granthas were found from Kerala. So that was the connection in between the whole Bharat, without even the so-called mobile and internet connections and all that. So what was that communication? What was the very basis of that? What he has conveyed to the public. Those principles have to be taught. Then, see, whatever it may, the general feeling or general consciousness is being, the Am Bodha. Bodha is being created by these so-called guys sitting in the TV rooms, debate rooms, and those who are writing in the papers and all. So if we are giving them the Western principles based on the binaries, based on the war conflict theory, always collision theory, there will not be much change. So it is to be changed. It is to be transformed. When these particular principles will come into, I'm putting only one point. The very same thing is regarding philosophy, our history, our social science. See, Baba Sahib Ambedkar, in his wonderful speech, his concluding speech in the Constitution Assembly, he has mentioned about the Ganarajya concept of Bharat. Ganarajya. I would like to ask our political science students who are hearing me, the political science professors who are hearing me, to answer me that whether they are teaching this principle of Ganarajya concept to our students. So through these clear thoughts, clear teaching mechanisms, the mind will be clear. Then there will not be any Purvagraha or Duragraha. Then our debates will be as good as Shankara Mandana Misra Samvada. Shankara Mandana Misra Samvada, you know, Mandana Misra's wife herself sat as a referee. Ubhaya Saraswati sat there. And she announced her beloved husband's defeat. It is not like today's the anchors who have got some political leanings and ruchi and aptitudes. They are trying to take the discussion to a particular end. They are trying for that. But Ubhaya Saraswati never tried for that. Shankara never tried for that. Mandana Misra was equally magnanimous enough to accept defeat and becoming Shishya of Shankara. So that should be reinstated. That is the need of the hour.
Thank you so much, sir. I think this point of yours reiterates the importance of inculcating unbiased views in our children. I have just one more question from our audience. Religious extremism, fanatism are a threat to our social diversity and socio-cultural unity. How do you analyze these challenging factors as they are a serious challenge for the concept of idea of Bharat?
Really, see, the very concept, the Semitic religious concept, we can't just say that religions which are believing in the onlyism. Acharya Vinobaji has also divided the principles of the religions into two parts. One is onlyism and the other is alsoism. See, in the Semitic religions, they used to believe that our own principle alone is correct. Am I audible? Audible? Yes. Okay. Our own principle alone, our own theories alone, our prophet alone is correct. Our grantha is alone correct. Our path, our church or mosque alone is correct. So from that particular specific point or conceptual premise, this religious extremism or Ugravada is starting from there. So they have to think when they are living in Bharat. Just I have mentioned, I have quoted Sri Guruji's discussion with Jilani. He specifically mentioned that the true religion is to be taught. What is actually the aim of religion? Whatever it may. It is to emancipate, it should be, it must be, to emancipate the person, the individual. But whether the extremist philosophy or ideology of the religion is paving way to that. So that particular aspect is to be taught to the students, the generations, the youths. And also the true history is to be taught. See, one famous film star, Bollywood star, has given a name for his son as Taimur. Someone is giving Afzal Khan's name. Someone is giving the Afzal Khan's name. Someone is giving Gauri's name. How gory is that? How we can? So why it is happening? They are taking this invaders' history also as a religious history. They are thinking that Afzal Khan was also doing 5 times namaz at that time. So rather better than Chhatrapati Shivaji, Afzal Khan is acceptable for me. Taimur is acceptable for me. Says Khan is acceptable for me. That Tipu Sultan is acceptable to me. Hyder Ali is acceptable to me because, and Babar is acceptable. But things are changing. I do hope that even a big group, a big chunk even from this so-called religious minority is thinking in an exact opposite direction. I will give you a simple example. You know, this year, or the coming year, is the centenary year of Khilafat movement. Actually, it was nowhere connected with our independence struggle. But in our history book, this Khilafat Andolan is being taught as a part of non-cooperation movement and independence struggle and everything. I don't want to go much deep into that part. But as a part of the celebration of Khilafat Andolan, Kerala group, the Islamo-leftist, I would like to put them in this bracket, Islamo-leftist. They are trying to make a film to eulogize the murderers of Hindus. Murderers of Hindus. In Kerala, this Mopula rebellion, it was a Hindu genocide. The leader of that Hindu genocide named, I don't know whether all Karnataka people can pronounce that name, particular specific Kerala name, that is Kunya Ahmad Haji. Varian Kunnattu Kunya Ahmad Haji, a bit difficult to pronounce, but Ahmad of Manmeriki. They have, and a prominent film star has announced, and a prominent director, Muslim director has announced, the SFI leader, he was an SFI leader while studying, he announced that they are going to make a film on this particular Ahmad Haji, who killed hundreds of Hindus. And they are saying he was as same as Bhagat Singh. He can compare to only to Chandrasekhar Azad. In that way, they were trying to make a film to distort the history. Immediately, do you know, the reaction came from a nationalist Muslim of Kerala, a director, Ali Akbar. He announced that I am going to make a film to to portray the true picture, the gory picture. The fanatic Islam fundamentalists, what they have done, how they killed the innocent Hindus, how they raped the Hindu women, how they killed the innocent children, how they put the Hindus into the well. All these things I am going to say. And poor man, he has, and because of his stand, he is not being supported by these Islamo-leftist forces who are taking control of the film industry, not only in Mumbai, in Kerala also it is under them. So this poor man hasn't got any money or producers, but he announced publicly lakhs and lakhs of rupees are coming to his account to make that film. So many Muslims are coming forward to support him. So the point is, things are changing. Things are changing. Oh, even communist people are also changing. Do you know, after Bhumi Pujan in Kerala, Marxist leaders started giving religious sermons in temples. Can you just believe? So many Marxist leaders started speaking about Ramayana. Those people who question the very birth of Rama, those people who question the very identity of Rama are starting giving sermons, giving religious speeches on Rama and Ramayana. And their Deshabhimani, maybe in a criticizing style, but knowingly or unknowingly, they said a correct thing. In Deshabhimani, their own organ, they gave a title, heading, Hindu Rashtra, the Shilanyasa of Hindu Rashtra has happened. Hindu Rashtra's Shilanyasa has happened. So don't worry, things are changing. The coming future, what is it, dawn, it is ours. There is no doubt about that. That beautiful flower of our Vaibhava is blooming for us only. Thank you.
Namaste, sir. Thank you so much for that insightful, enlightening talk. Be on this auspicious evening of Janmashtami, from Bhagavad Gita to Kathopanishad to Bhavani Bharat Mata and to Bharata Bodha, it was indeed a divine darshan today. On behalf of Disha Bharat, my sadar pranams to you, sir. Thank you so much for being there.
Dhanyavad to all. Dhanyavad. Namaskar. Namaskar.
Namaste, sir. Now, my dear viewers, as we all know, tomorrow also we have interesting programs lined up. Shall we take a quick look at it? We shall see what's there tomorrow on the poster. Yes. Our students have been giving interesting performances, enriching performances, and they have been giving us that knowledge of India through their innocence and the practices they've had. Tomorrow as well, we have a story session on Ram Prasad Bismil and Chandrasekhar Azad, and innocent students will be performing on with dance and music as well. And in the evening, we have a session that we all are looking forward to. Honorable Finance Minister of India, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, will be with us tomorrow, and she will be speaking about India today and tomorrow. So I welcome you all for both the programs. Please do participate in large numbers and encourage us. Thank you so much. Namaste.